All right, so you've seen our Ram 1500 TRX by now, but what makes this truck so different? Stay tuned as I break down the Ram 1500 TRX that we call ARES. What's up, America? Carter here from Forge 4x4 with our Ram 1500 TRX that we are giving away. And the question is, what makes this truck so different than any other truck on the road? And for starters, everything that's underneath this hood is really the difference maker. We have a 702 horsepower Hellcat V8 supercharged powerhouse pushing over 650 foot-pounds of torque. That alone should be enough to get your attention, especially considering it's over 250 horsepower more than the strongest Raptor available. This is the fastest production truck ever made. Goes 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. And to give you an idea of what that feels like, it will smack your passenger's head to the headrest if you are not careful. So let's just go from the front to the back on this beast. Starting with this functional hood scoop. So with all of that power, you need a lot of oxygen going into the engine. So you have a hood scoop here. The Ram logo is cut out to increase airflow. And then the look of the bumper, I'm a big fan of the front grille and the bumper on all Ram 1500s. The TRX is no different. You just have more areas for air to go through. You'll notice one thing on the sides, the TRX is 8 inches wider than the Ram 1500. That wider wheelbase gives it more room for suspension and travel and just looks more aggressive. We wanted even a wider wheelbase, so we put some Black Rhino Chase rotary forged wheels on here that are offset at -18, which means it's a little over an inch offset, and you could tell on the profile that it's even wider than a standard TRX. 8 inches may not seem like that much, but it's a lot. It looks definitely more aggressive. Now the suspension is really one of the biggest differences on this TRX. The Bilstein Blackhawk Adaptive E2 suspension is wild. It's a mix of technology and fundamental shock design that you can feel when you're driving, not only down the road, but also when you're off-roading. It's crazy how quickly it adapts to the changing environment. With the 8 different drive modes, those are going to send real-time feedback to the shocks to give you the best driving experience. When you go into different embankments, or if you're on sand or rock, the suspension does a lot of the work for you, which allows you to be more controlled, drive safer, and also drive faster and have a lot more fun. The Goodyear, now these Goodyear Territory AT Wrangler tires, these things are nuts. Not only because they could go 118 miles an hour, which is the top speed on the TRX, but you can also rip these things off-road in sand and rock. These were specifically designed for the TRX. They run at nearly $500 a pop, and rightly so. I think it's definitely worth it. We've already noticed taking it off-road and on the road. Great grip, very little wear, and altogether they're not loud. They can go fast. It's almost a perfect tire. All right, so the backside of the TRX, I love the look of Rams, the Ram bumper, the Ram tailgate. What's crazy is how light this tailgate is. It's controlled on the way down, but going up, it's just so light that it's crazy. We rhino lined the truck bed for you so you could still do truck things. You could turn this into an overland vehicle, although the gas mileage, not great. That is the one downside on this truck, but at the same time, no one ever talked about the miles per gallon they got in their truck on their deathbed, okay? So don't worry about that. All right, so when we originally wanted to do a TRX, I wanted to put lights on it. I just didn't know where. So I started looking, Googling, what kind of racks could we put on it? Could we put some lights or a light bar? I wasn't quite sure what we wanted to do because nothing existed. This is a brand new truck that very little people have done some real modifications. So we wanted to go with a KC Highlight M-Rack up top. We wanted some side spreaders, so if you're on the trail, you are gonna look like a UFO out there at night. It's rad. And I love the Rigid 360s. Rigid Industries makes some incredible products. I love the amber backlit on their 360 lights. And after using those on Zeus and Hercules, we decided that, you know, these lights are amazing. Not only the quality of the light, the number of lumens and the general brightness, you have a lot of dependability, and it makes almost no noise. So we had to mix brands with Casey Highlight and Rigid Industries, which are competitors, but at the same time, this was the only rack that would work on the TRX. We even had to modify it a little bit. Huge fan of the look of ARES, and it's unique. This is the only TRX in the world that has eight rigid 360s on it. I haven't seen a TRX with an MRAC on it yet, so it's unique. So obviously many of you want to see the engine, but it's covered by this air filter right here. You can still see some glimpses of that V8 Hemi with the Ram supercharger on top of it, pushing over 702 horsepower. It sounds as good as it looks. And definitely can whip your hair and head back. All right, so the interior of the TRX is really where you're gonna get your money's worth. It feels like a high-end luxury vehicle in here. Not only the amount of space that you have in this 1500 cab, you have all the bells and whistles from a leather dash, suede armrest right here with some details about the TRX, 702 horsepower, how special it is. Every single TRX has the VIN number, amount of boost, and then also where it was made and the actual supercharger that's in it, which is the 2380cc twin screw IHI. Fascinating. So you have 8 different drive modes here, from sport, tow, snow, auto, custom, mud, sand, rock, and Baja. What is cool about it is it's actually going to change the transmission, whether or not you want to run paddle shifters, the suspension, everything is going to change. When we were on the desert, we were running Baja mode, and you could tell right away that the suspension and also your transmission is going to, I think, decrease the amount of shifting so that you could stay in the gear that you want, and when you have that responsiveness that you need getting through a turn or going over an obstacle, it's going to give it to you. So that is, you know, by far one of the coolest features about the TRX are the customization that you can have when you're actually driving this thing. So the performance tab on here is rad because you have all of these little fun gadgets and accessories. From timers, you can see the best that we've done is 3.9 second 0 to 60. We haven't taken this thing over 100 miles an hour yet. We may or may not at some point. And your different gauges, so it'll actually show you what your air to fuel ratio is, your oil pressure. These are all customized so you can actually add more or take some off. Vehicle dynamics, which show whether or not you are in 4 high, 4 low. There are some aftermarket programmers that could turn this into 2-wheel drive. From what I understand, that actually messes with the transfer case, so we're not going to do that. You can do whatever you want with it. If you want to do some massive burnouts, for example, you could do that. But the technology that's in this thing is just wild. So when you hit launch control, a couple things happen. You have to be on level ground. You hit the brake as hard as you can, slam the gas, and go. The launch control is a fun little feature. You could adjust at what RPMs you want to actually launch the TRX. You're going to be launching it a lot. So other features, you could activate the backup camera at any time. You have a heated seat, heated steering wheel. All right, if you have a family and or a bunch of friends, the back seat on this thing is wild. It's huge, so plush, leather from head to toe, suede accents. It's absolutely gorgeous. The sound system is an Alpine upgraded sound system. It sounds amazing, which, you know, it's one of those things that we didn't have to do a lot to this truck because it was already, you know, dialed in before we even got it. There's your standard Ram storage bins right here. On both sides, use that as an extra little compartment. It comes with slush mats already and is awesome. And that's it. This isn't your standard build sheet video at Forge 4x4. We don't have a ton of aftermarket parts and accessories on here because this truck didn't need it. Ram spent over $1.5 billion in research and development putting a Hellcat in a full-size truck, and rightly so. They wanted to make sure it was safe, effective, reliable, and still had 700 horsepower. No other truck has ever come close. It's a reason why Motor Trend picked this as the truck of the year 2 years running, and it could be yours. Sign up today at Forge 4x4. Every $1 you spend in our shop equals 1 entry to win this truck plus 10 grand. Or become a member for $8.95. You'll get 10 entries to win every single month. That simple. Who knows? I could be handing you the keys to this truck on September 27th, 2021. So sign up today.